Rising, y'all. Okay, so I'm not good with the lighting and where I need to sit and stuff like that, so I'm just making this video and sharing this with you because it's been on my spirit the past few days. When I've been getting this all year long, we are running out of time. We're running out of time. When we had the first eclipse at the beginning of the year, I got a download and message, and I saw the ancestors. And I know a lot of people are still like trying to learn about ancestral veneration and whether it's demonic, whether it's something that we should be doing. It's something that we have been taught that we shouldn't practice, especially in today's religion and how a lot of the concepts, were stolen from our original culture and they've been altered. And so, trying to figure out the best way to express this without talking so much, because I don't want to make a 2-hour video. But throughout the past few years, the ancestors have come to me and given me messages. And when they first came to me and they exposed or revealed who they were, it was kind of like it was something that I had to just trust the journey and the spirits that was guiding me. Because when I hear them talk, I could hear the voice of God. And it was just kind of like, what is this? And I later learned that our ancestors were the ancient ones, not all of them, okay? Like, we ain't talking about the grandparents and great-grandparents and stuff. They can still be, the door openers for us reaching our other ancestors. But the ancient ones, they came in with a divine connection. They were very holy. They lived based off of Mayat. And so they followed certain guidelines throughout life to keep them in a place of where they were always divine and pure. So they were not living like how we are today, where we're, practicing a very toxic culture. We're hurting each other. We're hurting ourselves. We're passing down toxic to the children. We're dealing with toxic from parents and stuff like that. So they didn't deal with a lot of trauma. The first ancestors did not hold a lot of trauma because they were pre-colonial, what's the word I'm looking for? They were not slaves, okay? They were free people. Once we got invaded in our lands and our ancestors became slaves and prisoners of war, they went through a lot of trauma. So, they went through a lot of things where certain teachings were forced on them. They couldn't practice their spirituality and all of these things that even today, when we try to get connected back to our original history and spirituality, is something that is very hard for a lot of people to do because of that trauma. And that trauma can sometimes block us. It blocks us and sometimes makes us even reject information that's coming in because of the unhealed areas in our lives. So we have to understand the difference which ancestors we're working with, because not all ancestors were good. Not all ancestors were divine. You had ancestors that some of them was murderers, some of them was alcoholics and stuff. And so you just want to understand that, because it's okay to still work with certain ancestors, but they may not guide you to your divinity. So even being aware of that when working with parents or working with grandparents, if they did not leave the earth with their heart as light as a feather and they were not in their divinity before they left earth, and I know we would like to think, well, they was a good person and this and that, but that is not what the divine law says about how we leave this earth. And that's the point that I'm getting to when I'm making this video, because a lot of us have been lied to about what happens when we die, about heaven and hell, and what happens to the spirit when we cross over. So our ancestors created a concept to live your heart as light as a feather, to live your life in Mayat. And as long as you live in those virtues and principles and those laws each day, you keep your heart as light as a feather, so that when you cross over into the next life, you should ascend, and that is, going to heaven. You lived a good life. You will even live in this realm forever. People will talk good about you, and you'll be somebody that people respects and honors because of the works that you've done here on this earth. So people will say, pretty good things about you. But it's like you've done what was necessary in this life. And, a lot of us don't understand that we all have a purpose to fulfill here that must be fulfilled, because we came here with soul contracts prior to coming in the physical realm. All of us come from the spiritual realm, which is the heavens. And then we come into the physical realm. We have a divine connection with the Creator, but what happens is we begin to pollute our bodies, which lowers our vibrations. We expose ourselves to a lot of worldly things, a lot of worldly teachings. Even with religion today, it has become very corrupt. So a lot of the leaders who are teaching are corrupt because they are not living in the standards of Ma'at themselves, and so they are also incorrectly teaching. Even if they have some of the right teachings and the right information, if they are not living it, then they are also guiding people's souls incorrectly. So for myself, when I'm giving out information and I'm sharing things, I have people who also check me or make sure I'm just doing whatever is necessary on my end, so that I'm doing the healing work. And a lot of us get into spirituality even, and we're not healing correctly or going through the proper initiation, or going through initiation at all through the right leaders. And what's happening is, it's a lot of people who get into spirituality, they realize that they got powers, they can do this and do that, but they're not doing the healing work. And so what ends up happening is they start creating bad karma for themselves, or the energy that they're putting out begins to reciprocate for themselves. So it's people out here that's trying to, hex people that they haven't got permission from the divine to hex them. They just doing it because they mad, or they jealous, or they envious, or angry. And then when they do that, they end up hurting themselves more, because one, they didn't sit down to heal from that situation. They didn't sit down and check with the divines to see if it was justified. And if it's not justified, then you don't have clearance, and then those things end up backfiring. So I've had people, y'all, that have paid people from Trinidad to Africa to Louisiana, in cults that have, even in cults and Freemasons and stuff like that, who have tried to put stuff on me, but the attacks were weak. Even individuals who are really good in spirituality, but the attacks, they might hit a little bit, but I'm still here. And I've had people who've tried to put death spells and stuff like that on me, but it backfires, and then it hits them, and they have some terrible things happen in their lives. And I don't wish anything bad on those people. I just pray that they heal, because when they don't and they choose to keep doing that, they will never understand why their life becomes or is falling apart. And it's because the bad intentions that they have put out into the universe. And when you practice in that place of low vibrations, you attract more low vibrations to you. And so, we teach to, what I do is I teach people how to raise their vibrations, how to connect with their purpose, how to find, even their divine partner. But I express that they have to be in the best version of themselves as well in order to even attract that into their life. A lot of us are attracting a lot of karmic relationships and people who are not healthy for us, and then we're normalizing toxic, and we're not teaching any of our children nothing. You know what I'm saying? We're just teaching them that it's okay to accept certain toxic behaviors because it's become normalized, and we're refusing to let our egos go and heal from our trauma. A lot of us are not doing the shadow work that's necessary to be done. And a lot of religions have said, oh, well, shadow work is demonic. You got a lot of new age people coming up that haven't even studied the Bible or anything like that. They're saying that, crystals are demonic, and you can go and look in the Bible, and there's several scriptures. You can go Google this right now, scriptures that talk about crystals in the Bible, and you'll see several crystals in the Bible. You'll see several herbs that's used in the Bible too, like hyssop. Hyssop is a herb that was used that they would say prayers to God to cleanse them back as white as snow. And there's a scripture about hyssop that you can use to do so. And so these things have always been a part of our culture, but when people do not understand it, or they are not well studied up on it, then they're just going off of the fairy tale illusions that they've probably gotten from whatever teachings that they've gotten from their leaders, and the problem with that is a lot of leaders are just feeding off of people's emotions and what they feel comfortable with hearing because they're making money off of them. I don't make any money telling y'all the truth. I don't care about making friends. I care about living out my purpose and making sure that I do what's right so that I can cross over correctly, because I don't want to suffer in the afterlife. And so I make sure that whomever I'm teaching, I'm working on teaching them to be the best version of themselves so that they can cross over correctly, so that their soul is not trapped when they cross over. Because see, even here when we are practicing funerals, we don't understand how it's been altered. If religion has been altered, a lot of stuff in our reality has been altered. Okay, if they can alter your teachings about God and what's true, they will alter your entire reality and how you manifest and what's your, you know what I'm saying? So even with funerals, we are giving our spirits over to the wrong spirit, and we keep telling families, they lived a good life. We believe everybody went to heaven, and that's not the case. And so if we're not doing the proper healing and ancestral healing, then we're allowing our ancestors to stay trapped in that dimension of hell if they did not cross over correctly. So if they died in any type of way where they were suffering, they were sick, they died in an unjustified manner, like they was murdered or something, those spirits can still linger around because they have not been justified. So in church, it's really good for them to take your money or something and you use their place so that you can get that ceremony and peace and stuff, but it was a certain way that we went about helping and assisting our ancestors and our family members when they crossed over, so that they could do so correctly and so that we could assist them to go into a better, afterlife. And that's what we need to understand. In some souls, they do become trapped. That's why you have so many stories about haunted houses or people even having dreams of their ancestors. Sometimes they come to you because they need help. Sometimes they're trying to communicate with you because they need help, and they're trying to tell you that, and that's why we need to sit sometimes and really listen, because they are not dead. They're just in another dimension. They have just left the physical body, but their spiritual body and their energy is still there, and it's connected to us still, because in a spiritual realm, we are still all one. Even in this physical, consciousness means we are all one. The trees, they have spirits. I'm connected with the trees. The animals, they have spirits. I'm connected with the animals. All of these things have come into our lives for a reason, to teach us something, and it's all a form of energy. It's all a part of God. Overall, the trees are God. You know what I'm saying? The animals are also God. That's why we don't choose to sacrifice animals and eat them and stuff, because our ancestors, they lived a holy life where they may have ate fish or something like that, but they did not eat meat because the animals were considered sacred. So even with the cow, when we eat beef, we don't understand they had cows that came in that represented the divine mother, and that cow was Heru or Hathor, and that was the divine feminine energy. It was a goddess. So to eat a cow is kind of like to sacrifice a deity, because our ancestors, the reason that you see in ancient Kemet that they have animal heads is because they believed in spirit animals. So when you see cultures like Native Americans and Hindu and stuff like that that's got animals as deities or spirit animals, it's because the ancestors can incarnate through the animals to come through our lives and teach us lessons. So that's why when you see, a deer in the woods, you like, what does a spirit animal deer mean? What does it mean when you see a red bird a lot? What does it mean when you see a bluebird? Because that's your ancestors coming to communicate with you through an incarnation of animals. And so this is why in Kemet we didn't eat animals. This is why they don't eat meat, but people don't understand that. And they be like, oh, them folks is in a cult, they demonic and this, and it's like, okay, you feel me? Like, we've just been taught really incorrectly here. So I'm just saying that because Like I said, we're kind of in a place where we are running out of time. We're in a place right now where we're getting ready to come across another eclipse. So it's a huge shift going on. But this eclipse in the next few moons that's coming up is going to bring a big shift. And I'm not talking about just like a positive thing. It is going to be positive for a lot of people that are waking up and they're doing the work, that's ready. The warriors, the people that's grounded, that's been in the spirituality and they've been doing the right thing. But for a lot of people that's on the wrong vibration, that keep feeding in negative energy and stuff like that, a lot of them folks, I'm telling you, like when they opened up that last, when they opened up the CERN at the last eclipse, they brought in demonic entities onto this earth, because we're in a spiritual war right now that a lot of people don't understand with energy. Okay, so you can use these things to manifest, but what they're trying to do is they're trying to stop and block certain manifestations, because they understand a lot of us are getting into our power now. So we're dealing with a lot more low frequency attacks that's coming to earth, and a lot of people that's on those low vibrations are easier to come into demonic possessions. They're easier for lower spirits to attack their vessel and possess them to do low vibrational things. They're easier for other people that's on low vibrations to affect their energy, and we're gonna start seeing a lot of people that's going to transition. Okay, not just that, but it's also been foreseen. Oh, look at that, beautiful. Oh, it's a hummingbird. Oh, okay. Spirit animal, let's go. I gotta go look at what a hummingbird means. Maybe that's something we all need to go look up. But they're coming in, and there's supposed to be another pandemic that's gonna come. And I'm saying this, they might take this video down, so I hope y'all watch this before it get taken down, because like I said, they blocked one of my videos about protecting your energy on here. And all I'm trying to explain to people is that if you are, whatever is going on in the physical is going on in the spiritual, above so below. Whatever is happening in the heavens is happening on the earth. Okay, so if you feel like you're up under spiritual attack, if you feel like you're around a lot of negative energy, you got to ask what's going on in your life. What are you doing? Okay, or what are you not doing? And this is why you have to sit down with your ancestors. And you might be afraid of it. You can just sit down with yourself and they'll come with you. You feel what I'm saying? The spirit will come to you. But a lot of people are afraid to do that because they're afraid of what they're going to be revealed. But a lot of times what you need to hear is the work that you need to do on yourself. So like I said, a lot of people get into spirituality. They start doing work on other people and think that that's solving the problem. And it's really the inner work that you need to do on yourself, like cord cutting, cleansing, is, you know, doing the release work. Those things are important, because if you don't do that, this is why a lot of us, when we get in relationships, we attract the same person through a different body. Okay, because we're attracting people based off of our traumas, our triggers, our unhealed areas. We're attracting them based off of spirits that's attached to us. And sometimes those spirits can attach to us through our childhood, because we haven't, you know, we weren't all the way protected as we needed to be in a spiritual way. Okay, so we might have had a lot of people who was praying for us and they did good. Those spiritual warriors that prayed for us, they kept us, we done made it this far. But we coming into a place of learning and knowledge now, in the age of information, where we're learning more about our truth, and that's being revealed. And so it's one of those things where illusions are being revealed. Even through this eclipse, the illusions are being revealed, and a lot of lies and people who have been guiding people wrong are being exposed, because it's time for the truth to be revealed, because it wasn't meant for those who have evil powers to rule earth. You know what I'm saying? This was meant for God's people and the chosen people to live in harmony on this earth, and that's when the new earth and new heaven, it enters here into this realm. So the most important thing, and this is one of the reasons I'm not on Facebook and I had to make this video, because I'm working on protecting my energy right now, and just really taking the time to get back in monk mode and listen to the Most High and listen to the ancestors and what they're trying to communicate with me, so that I can fulfill my purpose. But it's a lot of distractions on social media right now, and I just realized I was giving too many people my energy and too many people my You know what I'm saying? And it's draining me. And so, even as a teacher, that's one of the things I'm trying to teach my students is protecting your energy. And I can't teach that if I don't do it myself. And so, setting boundaries is important. I know I have a lot of people that reach out to me, and I try to explain to y'all, like, y'all got to do that work, because a lot of times when we dealing with stuff that's on the outside of us, it's a reflection of something that's on the inside of us that we haven't healed from. So when we're not doing the inner work, we get upset about what's going on the outside. And it's like, well, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you not cutting those cords or cutting the relationships or healing that or setting the proper boundaries? Because when you do that, then you're able to focus on what it is that you need to focus on more. But when you allow outside factors to distract you and you're not doing what you need to do. And so the biggest question, and this was something I learned in church, was if you won't go to heaven, if somebody won't go to heaven with you, why would you go through hell with them? You know what I'm saying? And that means that if you're chasing relationships, friends, family, hanging around with people who are constantly toxic, or you trying to fix them and you trying to, fall in love with potential and make them do better, then you're not realizing the hell that you're putting yourself through to be attached to that relationship, instead of just doing what you need to do, healing, being the best version of yourself, fulfilling your purpose, and getting your life together, and then taking your route to heaven. And so a lot of people, they don't do the healing work and understand, like, heaven is also it's in the mind. So if you do not have peace and your life is in chaos all the time, then you are not in heaven. You are definitely not crossing over to go. That's not how that works. It don't matter how good of a heart you have, because the thing about Mayat is not about having just a good heart. It's about having a balanced heart. So it's about divine love and divine hate. God did not love everything. And his teachers out here that's, excusing a lot of stuff, even like homosexuality. This is not to attack them, but this is the truth. And as long as I'm speaking the truth, I don't care how nobody feel, because I'm speaking from the divine source, okay? And this is what they set in stone. We not supposed to practice into those things. We not supposed to curse people. It's a lot of stuff that we're not supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? We're not supposed to pollute our bodies. None of them is greater than the other. All right. So like I said, it's not just to attack them, but you have a lot of preachers now, and even spiritualists, who will tell you, oh, well, it's okay. And I understand, like, this is from new ancestors. You feel me? This is from ancestors that was not divine. And it's a difference, because you had higher ranking ancestors that lived their life as a holy life, that are considered the wise counsel and the judges. These are the people that we talk about, that's sitting at the throne, that's sitting as the court next to God, that's also keeping record of how we live our lives. These are the ones who actually ascended. Okay, so the ascended ones are the ones who's sitting with, the judge or the Most High. These are the ones who judge us. And they're not just judging us in the afterlife. They are judging us 12 hours in the morning and 12 hours at night. They are judging us throughout the day. They're judging us at night. They're judging us when we sleep. They judging who we sleep with. You understand what I'm saying? So they're judging every single motion that we do in life. So it's not just about love and having a good heart, because with them it's certain things that are not holy that already done been put in place to let you know that this brings chaos into the community, and it was certain standards that was created to have divinity and harmony in our community. So when you went against those laws, you were creating chaos. So we did have people that rebelled. They created chaos in the community. This is why the community is like that, in the position it is now. But those people still have to answer for that when they go into judgment. So this is why we, recite the 42 laws of Mayat, and we work with those ancestors so that we can make sure that when we operate each day, we're not going out and doing something that breaks a law. Because when we break a law, what ends up happening is we end up receiving whatever it is we put out. We end up receiving whatever karma it is that is going to come to us. So in the afterlife, if you do not have your heart as light as a feather, Your ancestors will weigh out every single thing that you did, every single sin, every single day, every day of your life that you had that time to correct and you chose not to correct it. They weigh out every single day, no matter how good you claim you are, no matter how good people tell you that you are. Your ancestors know who you are. They know who you are off of Facebook. They know who you are when you're not at church. They know who you are throughout the week. They know who you sleep with at night. Your ancestors know who you partying with and what drugs you do. They know what you eating behind closed doors, okay? So they keep record of every single action that you do for the whole 24 hours, every day of your life. And it builds up. So when you get to heaven and when you cross over and you go through judgment and your shit is heavy, you gotta come back and you gotta go through it again. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? So some stuff, and you might not come right back, but some souls, they get trapped in a dimension, and in that dimension is hell. You feel me? So if you do not heal and you do not do the proper work in this life before you leave, if your heart ain't where it needs to be before you leave, and you justify a lot of bullshit, and this is the problem in our community, is that we justify a lot of bullshit. So we got a lot of preachers, like I said, and spiritualists that'll be like, oh, well, it's okay, this is your journey and you live your life. And it's like, okay, y'all keep telling them this new age stuff, but it's practicing individuality. And our communities was big on community and holding accountability, and that's a part of spirituality. And that's a part of the shadow work, is to look yourself in the mirror and make sure that you are who you're supposed to be. So, we make a lot of excuses for the ego side of us, or the animalistic side of us. And a lot of the teachers now have become so animalistic that they're all just about money, or they're just all about whatever makes you feel good, because they want to make that money and they know that they can do it, but they are abusing their powers. That's why you got to pay me to do something. And if I don't want to do it, or if I feel uncomfortable with doing it, or if it's something I know that's going to break a law, I ain't doing it. But you have to still pay me. Like, even when it comes to sitting down and doing readings and stuff, I have people who come to me and want free readings. I don't mind being there to advise people, but y'all know how much energy it takes from me to even sit and conjure something up, how much cleaning I have to do, and y'all don't be willing to do that type of work. Y'all don't be fasting. Y'all do not be cleansing y'all energy, but then y'all want to get out here and do certain work and this and that and manifest even with money. And it's kind of like, I don't mind doing no money ritual, but you got to make sure we ain't doing no money ritual because you trying to have an ill intention and do something with that money, is the point that I'm making. I don't mind doing no protective work, but I got to make sure that I ain't protecting somebody that's on some crazy stuff. I don't mind doing a court case ritual, but I got to make sure that if I'm doing a court case ritual, I ain't doing no court case ritual for no murderer. Okay? So, yes, some people will just take the money and just do it because they can. I have to sit down and I have to divine, so I have to charge because I need to sit down and ask spirit, get the stuff for it, so that stuff do not come cheap. I'm no longer making things like that in my service cheap, because no, it requires for me to really do work that a lot of people I know ain't gonna do themselves. They ain't gonna do it right. And so anyways, you have a lot of people who just take the money to take stuff and just do anything. And it's just kind of like, I ain't doing love spells on people. I ain't about to put no curse on nobody. You know, I done had people try to come to me to hex people. And it's like, baby, I ain't doing that. If you need a cleansing, or you need me to cut some cords, I'll help you do that. And then make your life better, and you don't have to worry about them anymore. But I'm not hexing people for you. That's crazy. I ain't about to, hell no. No. Y'all don't even be asking if it's okay to do that to those people. And that's when your life become, because you're getting what you put back. You getting what you put out. So now your life is accumulating more drama because and stuff, because you're putting out that negative energy. It's emitting off of you. It's just a reflection of you. So yeah, unless it's a return to sender or we sending something back, I ain't doing that. I'll do stuff like that. But anyways, like I said, we have a lot of people who are permitting a lot of BS in our community, and they're just like, well, God know your heart. It's no, We got too many corrupt leaders and too many corrupt souls out here, and it don't make them a bad person. It's just that the teaching that they're sharing is corrupt, and so it makes them corrupt, and they might not realize that they're corrupt. So it's people who may express or just be like, oh, it's okay, you got to do what you got to do for the money. If they abusing something when they doing that, or they hurting somebody when they doing that, then no, we leading people to God. We are not about to keep leading our community into damnation, okay? And when we do that, we are really hurting our community, and we're lowering it into a place that's creating more chaos in the community, because we're not healing anything. We're just putting bandages on wounds that some people some people saying stuff that God ain't really told them to say. Because God already done put it in stone. Like, it's already been put in stone. That's where they get these concepts of the Bible and Quran and stuff like that. They went in and translated. They just didn't translate it correctly. But they went in and took those things and translated it from Medu-Neter, which is the Word of God. That means the Word of God. So those things were in Kemet already in stone. And it had to be one of our people that was fully African that could go and read that and translate it. It couldn't be somebody who could not divine, because even with Europeans, this is why the Bible has a lot of misinformation in it, because Europeans could not translate that information correctly, because they don't have that higher part of themselves. They are not connected to the divine, and even with that mutation that's in them that makes them lack melanin is also saying something is going on in the spiritual with their body, because the sun does not like them, and that's why they burn up under the sun. That's why we are kissed up under melanin. They burn up under the sun. We kissed up on our melanin. Look, I said we kissed up under melanin. We're kissed up under the sun. Our melanin is. You know what I'm saying? But when you start becoming polluted by European concepts and you're eating on their diet, a lot of us don't like going out to the sun because it's hot. You know why? Because you're on a low vibration. And the sun lets us know who's on a low vibration and who's on a high vibration. If you cannot handle being out in nature, in earth, in something that is that this is God. Do you hear what I'm saying? God created these things for us. If you cannot be in a place that provides you natural oxygen and natural light, something that provides natural healing properties, like if you go on the ground and you put your feet barefoot, it will release toxins and it will release negative energy in your aura. It will take inflammation out of your body. If you can't go out there and sit in the sun, it's something wrong in the spiritual body. The spiritual body is heavy. Okay, and a lot of those people a lot of times be unhealthy. They be on unhealthy diets, and that comes from, trauma as well. And so we have to understand that, because even when we justify interracial relationships, y'all don't understand the ancestors was at war with these people. And a lot of people keep justifying it because they want to make up what they want to make up about what God is, and that's not what they was already trying to tell y'all. And even when you read in the Bible, if you want to go through Hebrew concepts, and the Hebrews be like they the chosen ones, and the Muslims, they say if you look at those religions that are at least practiced by black people, not Western Christianity, because it seems like that's the only one that kind of mixes everybody. When you look at even Islam and you look at Hebrews and stuff like that, they even break down in their religion issue the redheaded God. You see this God saying that this is the one that we shouldn't be with, and this and that, but they're still not translating it correctly. Even though I do respect the Nation of Islam, because a lot of them have the highest ranking of black marriages from what I've learned. So they are actually pushing black marriages. They're actually keeping black families together because they're teaching a certain process of courting, which they're still using a lot of the systems from our original teaching. It's just that they've altered some of the teachings too, so it's not necessarily the right way of teaching it. You know what I'm saying? That's not to knock them, because I still respect some of them. I can't say all of them, because I've had some bad experiences with them. But if they taught it correctly, those bad experiences would go away. So even with the Hebrews, if they actually taught the teachings correctly, and the thing that they're missing is the divine feminine in their teachings, because they've altered the teachings to only benefit the men. And in our original culture, it was men and women, but that's how you created harmony. It was not men over women. It was not women over men. It was balance. Okay, so the Holy Trinity and the divinity was God, woman, and man, right? It's the highest part of us. What that create, the 6-point star too, right? If you put together man, woman, they create child. And that is what they call the Star of David or whatever. But when you really break it down, you have God, which is consciousness, and the man and the woman coming together. And then you have the man and the woman come together, they create child. And that was what was considered divine. That was what was considered God. And when you look in a lot of our households now, they're imbalanced, and that imbalance is creating a lot of mental illnesses in our children, that is creating a lot of destruction in our communities. And we can argue about this all day long, but a lot of single home parents, a lot of one home parents, or parents with children that usually have both parents working all the time, is not functional, or whatever the case may be, end up having a lot more problems growing up with identity crisis. This is why some children do become homosexual and stuff, because of an identity crisis. It's too much of one energy in the household and not enough of the influence of another energy, or sometimes it's the toxic energies and those things. But the divinity was when a conscious man and a conscious woman comes together and they harmonize, and this is what God is. And if we brought that back into our communities, we would see a lot more harmonious relationships, and even our babies growing up in being healthy communities and having healthier marriages.